So pedestrian safety isn't something that you normally hear about when it comes to Hawaii. You typically think of beautiful beaches and wonderful food and the culture, but let me just tell you, as someone who was born and raised in Hawaii and is currently living, especially in Honolulu, you should definitely think about it because we got some pretty bad drivers. I've seen those aunties, they just think everybody gonna move out of their way. I mean, seriously, auntie, I kinda read your mind. Try use the blinker once in a while. So I thought I'd provide some pedestrian tips for walking in Hawaii, particularly on the island of Oahu, and hopefully we'll be okay. Ho! Tacoma! Tip number 1, look before you cross. Don't assume anyone's gonna ever see you. Look before you're crossing the crosswalk. Look before you're crossing every single driveway. You have to constantly look because you can never assume that the driver can see you or is even paying attention. I mean, not only do we have a lot of tourists on the road who are driving, some of whom don't speak English, but you know, sometimes local people can be distracted too. I mean, we got cell phones, we got touch screens, we got makeup. So whenever I try to cross the street, I try to make sure that I look at the driver. I try to look at where the driver is looking, because if I see that they're looking down, then I'm pretty sure they don't see me. And so I have to be very careful. It's one of the reasons why I wear polarized sunglasses. Not only do they look good, and I really like Maui Jim sunglasses, by the way, but it's because I can look into the car windshield and I'm able to see if the driver is paying attention. And as my dad used to say, I don't want to die because someone wasn't paying attention. So what have you noticed about local drivers here?
They don't pay attention to the pedestrians as much as you think. Even earlier when we were just crossing, I don't think that guy saw the stop sign and here I just went whoosh. You have to be kind of extra careful. You can't expect them to stop for you.
And let me also mention too that you can't always rely on drivers to be able to read signs. Maybe some of them cannot read, I don't know, but just saying, you can't always rely on signs to do the instructing for you. It's just, some people just don't really read signs. I mean, I don't know if you noticed recently, but here in downtown, we got a lot of these no right turn on red signs. As a pedestrian, you cannot just assume the cars are gonna know that, because for some people who either cannot read or some people who are in a rush, they're not gonna see the signs. You know, to be fair, you know, sometimes the sign's kind of crooked, you know, right? Like sometimes the sign isn't right and it's kind of banged up like this one, a little bit, you know, off-centered. So, you know, sometimes I understand. And for a lot of people who have been driving in certain areas for a long time and just not used to the no right turn on red, well, they just blow right past and they just assume, oh, I never see the sign. And as a pedestrian, you really can't afford to assume that every car is gonna stop on red. A lot of these drivers are just going right through the lights, and so you gotta be real careful. I mean, maybe some of these guys think, you know what, chance them, I can make them. And then they go right through the intersection on the red, and if you're a pedestrian that is jumping the curb because the little walk icon turns green, well, the car is gonna hit you. Now, pedestrians, we're also on the hook a little bit for this one too. I seen guys just looking down at their phone the whole time. They're just going like this, and they just expect everybody to stop. Like, they think to themselves, oh, nobody's gonna hit me, so I can just look down and walk. And I think it's important that as pedestrians, you know, unless there's something absolutely important, it's okay to put your phone away in your pocket. It's okay. Maybe just put it away when you're walking in the crosswalks. All right, now tip number 2 is use crosswalks. Don't be one of those heroes, you know, the guys that try to cross 6 lanes, and I see those guys, I'm like, bruh, just use the crosswalk. It's like right over there. And again, I think some of these guys who are crossing all these streets just not using the crosswalk, I think they're just sort of assuming that the car's not gonna hit them. Like, they're thinking to themselves, bruh, who can hit me, right? They're all gonna stop for me. Maybe most of the time they'll stop for you, but it's gonna be just that one time that they don't, and then boom. And then you might be on the news and people will be asking in the comments, were they in a crosswalk or not? By the way, speaking of crosswalks, this is one of the new ones here. If you're unfamiliar, Look at that wall. Oh, so nice. So like graffiti in like what, 2 weeks? Nah, just joke. Sometimes the crosswalks gotta be in better places, and better urban design is needed for that. So the city and government officials, they do need to work on that and kind of just see where people are crossing and really where it would be best for pedestrians. Oh, can sample. Nah. But yeah, see, you can see the ramp. Ooh, it's gonna be nice. So I hope that people really do consider using the crosswalks. They're there for a reason. And I know sometimes it's kind of humbug and you don't want to walk down the block just to use the crosswalk. But the thing is, most drivers are expecting people to be in those crosswalks. Again, they may not be paying attention all the time, but they're at least more aware of where the crosswalks could be because of the lights and other things. But if you just start crossing the street like right here, like no one's really expecting that. And again, you can try chance them, but I wouldn't do that.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah, especially at nighttime.
Yeah, at nighttime I did.
That's pretty. That's gambling right there.
Yeah.
All right, now tip number 3. When you're a pedestrian, just give a little wave or a quick shaka if the car is waiting for you to walk across the street. That's just common courtesy. Now everyone knows that pedestrians have the right of way when it comes to crosswalks and intersections, and they have the right to go ahead and walk. But it's always nice just to wave and thank the driver for just, hey, just thanks for letting me go. And you don't know what kind of mood that person is in. Maybe they're in a bad mood, maybe they're in a rush, but there you are. And you know how sometimes we can be when we're driving, we're just like, hurry up already, hurry up, try walk faster. But if the person just gives a little wave, maybe it just kind of de-arms you for a little bit. So as a pedestrian, I just encourage, if the car is waiting for you, they're letting you go, and you can, I'll just say, hey, just give them a quick wave, just an acknowledgement and thank you, and then, be on your way. Because I've seen drivers that I'm in the crosswalk and I'm walking, and then they're kind of just like, they're kind of like nudging, like they're just kind of like they're waiting for me, and they're getting like super close to me, and I'm like, you gonna hit me or what? You gonna hit me or what? And I've seen this the most in Japan, actually, with the cab drivers. When you're in the crosswalk, those guys are like, they're just waiting for the second that you are out of their way, and they're just gonna boom, like book it and then make the turn. And it's like, calm down. Like you can wait like half a second for me to actually get clear, and then you can turn. And so I would say, as a pedestrian, if a car lets you go, just give them a small wave, just a small acknowledgement. And like I said, you don't know what kind of mood they're in, and just being thanked, even for a small thing like letting somebody go, like you don't know how that's gonna change their overall day. But overall, I think a lot of people in Hawaii, we're not really the walking type. I think people would rather battle through traffic and drive 10 minutes to go park at a store than just go walk over there. It's just kind of a cultural thing, I think, where we just drive and we rely so much on cars. And maybe that's changing in communities like Kaka'ako and other places, but for the most part, yeah, we like to drive. But when we do choose to walk, I think it's very important that we make sure to pay attention, particularly to the cars around us. Because several years ago, my mom was actually in an accident where a car hit her as she was walking, and I was away on the mainland, and I was so like panicked. I had no idea what was going on, and yeah, it was a big impact on her health, and it's taken her a while and a lot of physical therapy to sort of get back to where she can be, where she can comfortably walk. And I don't know what that does to you as a person when you actually get hit by a car. And I think that's why I try to be so mindful as a pedestrian when I'm walking around. Because really there's 2 parts to this whole interaction. There's the cars, and then there's the pedestrians. And both parties have certain responsibilities to make sure that we're all safe. At the end of the day, the car is always going to win. The vehicle will always win just by sheer mass. But still, you want to just make sure that you're paying attention as you're walking around. And as a driver, just being mindful of people, that we're all sharing these roads. It's not just, I got to get from here to there, and it's just about me and what I need to do and the time that I'm saving. People are also going places and doing things, and I think it's very important to be mindful of that, particularly in Hawaii, where maybe the infrastructure is just not there. So stay safe out there, don't get nuts on the road, and yeah, just be mindful of, you know, people walking. I think we'll all be okay. So thanks for watching and aloha.